What is up, everybody? Welcome to Football Diehards. We're going over the Thanksgiving slate, 3 games, and I'm really looking forward to the slate. Been looking into it all day and hopefully make some money. I think the slate's going to be pretty fun. Jamie, what is up with you? You're looking forward to this slate?
Yeah, some games as far as in the grand scheme of things, but I mean it's Thanksgiving football. What's better than that? So I'm ready to tackle these 3 for sure, and I'll be playing quite a lot of DFS on them. How about you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Going to mostly do some single and maybe some cash as well. I think it's gonna be a fun slate. We'll go game by game here. We'll talk some ownership. They actually have ownership up for this Thanksgiving slate, so that's awesome. So we'll talk about all of that and talk some strategy along the way. So I say we get right into it, and we will start with the very first game on the day, 12:30. Eastern time, Chicago versus Detroit, probably the worst game on the slate. It looks like it is a 41-point total. Let's start on the Chicago side. Is there anything sticking out to you on this side here?
I think the thing that really needs to be played, you mentioned the cash and the single entry setting there, and if you're doing that, I don't think you can make it without playing David Montgomery. With Andy Dalton starting and Allen Robinson out, this looks like where they would just lean on the run game against the Lions, who have given up the second most fantasy points per game to running back. They're not going to have Deshaun Hand or Trey Flowers, who are their 2 best run stoppers. Montgomery immediately took over his workhorse role with an 85% snap share the first game and then a 95% one the second game. So any worry of Khalil Herbert or Damian Williams taking time from him is gone. So he's like the lock of locks for me on pretty much all 3 games. Where are you on him, and are you interested in any of the passing game in this one?
Yeah, I actually am. Montgomery, I think he's in a phenomenal spot. You talked about it. I don't have to worry about Herbert. Williams is out. We saw that Montgomery got, I think, like 95% of the snaps last week. Montgomery is one of my favorite plays, and it's crazy to say that because this is a 41-point total, but you just take a look at the matchup against Detroit, one of the worst run defenses in the entire league. We see why. He is, I think, the highest owned player on the entire slate, including other positions as well, coming in at about 50% owned for David Montgomery, and rightfully so. I think he's going to get the majority of the snaps. The matchup is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm very, very high on Montgomery. I love the price tag as well. You mentioned the passing game a little bit. There actually are some guys that do stick out. So I was on him last week. Darnell Mooney. He's 5,700. He had 26.1 DraftKings points last week. He had 16 targets, 5 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. And I think I might go right back to him here, 5,700. Really do like him as a wide receiver play on the slate. And then also another guy that does stick out who's questionable is Marquis Goodwin. He's 3,800. So again, there's no Robinson. I think he's going to get some work here. 8 targets last week. Had 104 receiving yards and a touchdown as well. And he's just another cheap option that I do like. And I think he's going to be pretty low owned as well. Take a look at the ownership while you talk about some of those guys and anybody else stick out to you on the Bears.
I think you got him. You're right. I mean, I was kind of lasered in as started looking at these 3 games earlier on in the week, and it was pretty much like Robinson. But I mean, 16 targets for Mooney, who was already leading the team in target share. I mean, that's at 5,700. That seems like a prime play for both cash and GPP. And Cole Cometh again. I'm not sure. His whole target share was building with Justin Fields, so I'm a little concerned if he's going to hold that. But at 3,700 again against the Detroit defense that can't stop anybody really, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to talk about the ownership on some of those guys. Mooney coming in at about 21 projected ownership, and then Marquis Goodwin coming in about 9% ownership, which on a 3-game slate that is very low. Another guy that kind of sticks out on the Bears side as well. So for tight end, for me, Waller's up there. I think he's going to be the guy that everybody goes to this week. I think Cole Cometh could be an interesting play at tight end. He kind of disappointed last week, but he's 3,700 last week. He only had 2.2 DraftKings points, but prior to that, he was looking decent. Another cheap tight end option here, and I'm assuming he's going to be very low owned. And Kind of 11% owned, the fifth highest owned tight end. I don't mind some Cometh as like a low owned tight end play that saves you some salary there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna attempt as much as I can if we're doing those cash or GPP options to pay up a little bit more at tight end this week, just because you can. But I mean, you're right. The price has actually gone down $100 from last week, so you like for sure fire away there.
Yep, I think we covered everything for the Bears side there. That's where most of my interest is. On the Lions side, is anything sticking out to you? I know there's one player that I think we're both going to be on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one player is going to be Swift, right? Jamal Williams returning didn't do anything to take away from Swift's workload. Um, he now has a 74% snap share over 7 games. And he had 17 touches to Williams' 7 against Cleveland. Uh, the Bears aren't a tough run defense anymore. They've given up almost 5 yards per carry now, and he still leads all running backs in targets or in catches, excuse me. So yeah, you can definitely play Swift in any format. And it did just come out right before we went on the air here that Jared Goff is going to play. So I think that, I mean, he's not wonderful, but he's definitely better than Tim Boyle. So that does help the Lions' offensive outlook a little bit more. So I'm not really going to lean on him or the Lions passing game, but I think that does help their overall offensive efficiency for sure.
Yep, I'm with you there. I think the only person or a player I'd play on the Lions would honestly be Swift. Like, I don't really have interest in any of the wide receivers because there's like a lot more wide receivers I like that are cheaper than some of these guys. I'm not really too interested in Hawkinson. It would be Swift, and that's about it. 7,300. We see that Swift is coming in as the third highest owned projected running back at about 27%. So yeah, for me on the Bears, I actually surprisingly have a lot of interest in a lot of these guys, but on the Lions, it's just Swift or pass.
I will say one. The problem with it is you don't really need the savings as much this week, just because there's already so many values. But if you're gonna do some kind of like you know, you see, I can't even give examples because there's not really offensive stacks on this one that are hard to fit in that you that you need the value plays. But I don't know, if you want the expensive running backs plus like a Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, or whatever, you can play Josh Reynolds at 3,000. He starts for them. Starting outside receiver for 3,000 is certainly in play for GPPs. He's not a world beating player, but with Goff back, who has a better average depth of target than Tim Boyle and less turnover rate, I mean, I don't mind that. I guess for 3,000. What about you for that? Is that something you might see appeal in?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, though, like there's so many plays that are sticking out that are cheap that I really don't think we have to go there. But on a slate like this, it's where you need to, try to get different in some places. And it will be,
Yeah.
taking shots on guys like that are really low owned. And we take a look, and he is very low owned. He's coming in at about 6% ownership, which is the 17th highest owned wide receiver on a 3 game slate. I think we have to take some shots like that to get different. And if we do, and they work out, it's a great way to, beat a lot of the field.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll throw him in. I'm not looking to play like 20, 25 entries on this slate, but if I play 4 or 5, I'll stick him in one and go for the home run at 3,000 there.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it to like 3 to 5 different lineups, like the 3 entry
Mhm.
max. I think they have like a 5 max as well, and then single, of course.
Yeah, what contests do you generally do on these kind of like when you do the 3 entry or the single entry? I mean, you don't have to give away your budget, but what are you looking
Mhm.
for as far as the entry fee, or the level of entrance in it?
Yeah, I've actually found to have more success like the higher dollar, like the lower entry. So say like a $50 100 person, like a $50 200 people like contest. I think I have more success in that. Whereas if you do like the $12 single entry with like thousands of people in it, I think those are a lot harder.
Yeah, yeah, that's a kind of a transition I've made over the last couple of years too. It's if you lose, you can lose your you can lose it a little faster. But I mean, my rate of success has been better in those as well. Just because I mean the level of entry and the level of differentiation, you don't need to do as much. Like you don't really need that Josh Reynolds play to take that down, which I think you do, and you need it to hit if you play, those $6 slant things with 50,000 people in them. Like you need something ridiculous to win that.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we're on the same page there. But yeah, 12:30 game, first game on the slate. It's not the best game in the world, but I actually surprisingly have a lot of interest in it. Was there any final thoughts you wanted to have on this game?
No, I think we actually kind of surprised ourselves with how much that was. This seems like Lions Bears seems like the one you'd gloss over with the two that come after it. But yeah, you can get some value out of this one.
Yep, for sure. But I say we move on to the next game, which I don't know about you, but this is probably my favorite game of the day. We have the Raiders going against Dallas, and yeah, this game should be fun. We take a look at it. This game, I believe, last time I checked, I'll double check here. This game has a 51.5 point total, which makes it the highest total on the slate. So yeah, I have a ton of interest in this game. I guess we'll start on the Raiders side. What's sticking out to you the most on the Raiders?
Raiders side actually concerns me a little bit. Their offense all of a sudden is bad. They've scored over the last 3 games. They've only scored a total of 43 points. So, yeah, I mean, Dallas doesn't have the pass rush still. So I think this is a possible spot. You could get you could see a get right spot for the Raiders offense here. The one that if I do play cash, double ups and even those smaller single entries, I'm going to make every effort I can possibly do to get up to Darren Waller at tight end. He's too cheap at 6,400. There doesn't seem to be any health concerns with him. Went for well over 100 yards. Or excuse me, he went for 116 yards, which was pretty much, I think it was the first time he did that since the first week. He was over 16 yards per catch. And Dallas is a defense that gives up a lot of fantasy points to tight ends. Outside of Hunter Renfrow is that like safe slot guy. Brian Edwards and Zay Jones are awful. So there's no reason to throw to them. I don't think they're going to put Trevon Diggs on Waller. That would make no sense. So he's going to cover one of those guys who they're not going to throw to anyway. So I think this is a good Waller spot. So I'm going to have a lot of him in all formats. How about you?
Yep, this is a slate where I found myself going all the way up for Waller or going all the way down for another guy that we'll talk about in the next game. But yep, I think Waller is definitely probably the most intriguing play here on the Raiders, and he's coming in at the highest projected owned tight end, and rightfully so, 34%. And yeah, great matchup against Dallas. As far as the other guys you mentioned, Renfro would be the other guy that I'd look at, 5,600. I don't think he has like the most upside in the world, but I feel like he's somebody that's safe. He's somebody that's going to get a decent amount of targets. And again, it's a solid matchup there against Dallas. So I guess Renfro and Waller would be the two I'm looking at. Do you have any interest in Josh Jacobs?
No, none at all. He keeps losing snaps to Kenyon Drake, which I kind of saw coming, honestly, as the season went along and as they started opening up the play action even more. Cowboys are a run stuffing team, which is all Jacobs really does. He's not a pass catching back. Although I mean, somehow he had 7 targets against the Bengals, so maybe I'll eat my foot on that one. But the Cowboys are giving up the 7th fewest running back fantasy points per game to running backs. This just doesn't suit Jacobs in this game. If I play either one of them, I play Drake as the pass catching back in this one, but I'm not really interested in either one.
Yep, I think I'm staying away from both of them personally. But yeah, give me Waller and then give me Renfro. Those are the two guys I like on the Raiders. On the Dallas side, I mean, a lot does stick out. So we still do not have Amari Cooper, and then CeeDee Lamb is questionable. Have you heard any updates about CeeDee Lamb? Last I heard, he might play.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything that leans either way. Just that actually, I think it came out right before we went on. Just that he's a game time decision. They feel optimism that he might go. If he does, I mean, he's 6,900 without Amari Cooper. So, he's got all the floor and ceiling in the world on that one. So he would fit right into those cash builds. It looks like right now ownership is expecting him to go. It's kind of climbing. I mean, we see he's at the 6th highest owned. I expect that will change once he's ruled in, if he is ruled in. But yeah, he's one that they can line up all over the place. Vegas has been stingy on the perimeter, but not over the slot, and they can easily just put him in there if they want to maximize his potential. So yeah, I'll be using him. And then of course Michael Gallup at 5,900. He got 10 targets last week. He hasn't been priced up enough for not having Amari Cooper there, and certainly not enough if Lamb is out too. So I think you eat the chalk there for sure in cash. I think you can play him in GPPs as well. But that, I mean, that ownership on a slate like this, you could easily get away from that if you wanted to differentiate and play Cedric Wilson or something along those lines, or the running game, either running back to get off of those pass catching options. But I like them both. You?
Yeah, for sure. It looks like I was wrong. It looks like Michael Gallup is the highest predicted own at 60%. My goodness. So it looks like everybody's playing some Gallup there, and it makes sense. If Lamb is out, I'm going to go all in on Gallup there. I mean, even with Lamb playing, I still have a ton of interest in Gallup. And then also another guy that does stick out, Cedric Wilson. He is 3,500 as like another cheap wide receiver. Last week he had 7 targets, 4 receptions. If Lamb does not play, I'm obviously going to be very high on Wilson. If Lamb still does play, I don't mind him at 3,500, but that's something I'm going to be looking out for. Of course, we have Zeke Elliott, 8,000, a guy that I really do like. Probably one of my favorite plays at running back. 8K there, great matchup against the Raiders. Pass catching upside with Zeke as well. So I really, really do like Zeke. It's probably I'll say he's my favorite running back play on the slate. How about you on Zeke? Is there anybody you like more than Zeke, or are you going to be really high on him this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, Montgomery is that I mentioned before is the running back that I'll be playing the most. But I mean, yeah, for sure. This is a spot that he could really break out in. He does have, I guess he's got a little bit of a knee aggravation there. Unless they say something about it leading up to the game, I'm not worried about that. This is a game Dallas needs to win after they've lost now, and they're kind of coming back down to earth into the pack. The NFC East is now in question as the Eagles continue to win, so they have to win this one. So I like him a lot, and I like Pollard a lot too. Certainly not in cash, but I mean, Pollard has been so good. 5.5 yards per carry, 9 yards per catch. He's only dropped one ball. He has the 5th highest yards per target of running backs in the NFL. So I think there's ways that they could both hit value in this one. So I wouldn't play them together. But if you're kind of going overweight on Zeke in these options, I think you can play some Pollard and GPPs as well.
Yep, Pollard is pretty sneaky. He's coming in as the 7th highest on running back at about 15%. We see Zeke Elliott coming in at 45% ownership. In terms of quarterback, I think Dak Prescott is one of the guys I do like. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on who you're going with at quarterback this week. For me, it's between Josh Allen or Prescott. It's Allen for me at the moment, but I think my second option would be Dak there. How about you? What are you doing at quarterback this week?
I think CeeDee Lamb will tell that tale a lot. We're seeing Josh Allen is significantly higher owned. I think that'll change if Lamb is ruled in. But I'm looking for Allen first and foremost, though. Just because this Vegas, it's such a run-friendly atmosphere for them that they could just lean on that, especially if they're depleted at wide receiver. So I would like to get to Allen at quarterback for sure. But I mean, you can't complain if you can't. Dak Prescott is super efficient, capable of being the overall leading scorer at quarterback for sure. And if he has Lamb back, that really creates a decision for the two,
Yeah.
especially since he's 900 cheaper than Allen.
Yep, for sure. Dak's coming in at 28.68%, which makes him the 2nd highest projected on quarterback on the slate. Josh Allen being the 1st. And honestly, I really don't see myself playing anyone that is not Josh Allen or Dak Prescott this week. One more guy that I'll throw out here, Dalton Schultz is coming in at 22%, which is the 2nd highest owned tight end. I don't hate him, 5,300, especially with no Cooper, with Lamb potentially not playing. I think Schultz is fine at 5,300. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think so too. He, for the 2nd straight week now, he ran the most routes of any Cowboys pass catcher, receivers included. I think he was only off the field for 1 snap in that game, and the Raiders get crushed by tight ends. So I have no problem with that in any format really. But I'd like to get to Waller and Cash.
Yep, I'm definitely with you there. I think we touched on about everything. Was there any other player that stuck out to you in this game?
No, I think I'm just going over my stuff here. No, I think that's it. I mean the Raiders, those receivers are bad. It's crazy. No, I think we got everything we need. Tyron Smith is supposed to be coming back too, by the way, for the Cowboys. That really helps their offense. So I think that's a big get for them.
Yeah, that really helps for sure. But let us keep moving on. We have the next game. We have the Bills versus the Saints. This is a 45-point total, which makes it the second highest total on the entire slate here. And yeah, I guess we'll start on the Saints side here. So on the Saints side, what is sticking out to you? I know Alvin Kamara is ruled out, and Mark Ingram is questionable.
Yeah, that's a. I, w- I wish it wasn't the late game because I mean, if Ingram sits too, which it looks like could happen because he was held out of practice yesterday and today, right? Um, that kind of puts him at risk of playing. So, Tony Jones is next, and then they got plotting Dwayne Washington as well. So I think I think there's a lot of merit to kind of building forward thinking on this one. Being the late game is tricky. I think you can put Tony Jones like in the flex or put Mark Ingram in the flex or something like that and be able to pivot if he's ruled out, or if just straight up put Tony Jones in the flex and find a 4,000 play that you like in that game that you could pivot to if he doesn't actually play. Like, just kind of, I'm trying to find one as I'm mentioning that, but it doesn't look like there really is anything along those lines. I mean, Cole Beasley's 4,500, you could do that. Um, but no, all those cheap plays are earlier, so that's a tricky situation for me. It might kind of just be an avoid altogether. It's not a good matchup anyway against the Bills, who've given up the fewest. Still, by the way, have given up the fewest fantasy points per game after getting obliterated by Jonathan Taylor. So that just tells you how good their rush defense should be. So I mean, this could be an avoid for me altogether. Where are you on it?
Yeah, I think that might be the best option there. Like you mentioned, even then, like the Bills' run defense is very good. Not against Jonathan Taylor, but still very good nonetheless. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. If Mark Ingram, if we get word that he does play within the next couple hours, that'd be nice. But reality is, it's a late game, so we're probably not going to know, which that does make it a lot harder. But yeah, if Ingram is out, that does make Jones Jr. at 4,000 very, very intriguing. So he'd kind of be the guy I'd be looking at, but again, it just makes it hard. So I might have some lineups, maybe a lineup with Jones in there just in case, but it's risky for sure. Also on the Saints side, yeah, not too interested in any of the wide receivers, but there is a cheap tight end that does stick out a bit. So we see that Troutman is on the IR, and we got a 2,600 Jawan Johnson. I think is pretty interesting. The starting tight end for the Saints there at nearly a minimum price. So he's kind of the other guy I'm looking at on the Saints here.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, I'm looking, where is his ownership? It looks like he's the fourth highest owned tight end at 12.6, ahead of Cole Komet, which is significant to me. Um, I wonder about if people are going to look at him and look at the Bills, because the Bills are tough against tight ends too, with their safeties and their linebackers. But he's kind of like Kyle Pitts, where he's not really a tight end, like he's a converted wide receiver who's big and fast and athletic, one of those like freak athletes that isn't like, like Dawson Knox type guy who's like a straight big bruiser tight end. Like, he's an athletic route running receiving tight end. So I don't know. I don't really see a problem with playing him no matter what the matchup is, especially at that cheap 2,600 price tag. So I knew you were going to say that when we were talking about Komet earlier, like paying up all the way or all the way down. He would definitely be the one that I would go to if I needed the savings, especially if like you want to play Zeke and you want to play CeeDee Lamb and one of the expensive quarterbacks, you're going to need that savings somewhere. And he's got to be one of the better options out there.
Yeah, I was messing around making lineups today, and he opens up so much. So I might, have some lineups with him for sure. Not expecting a ton. 2,600 though, I'll be fine with a couple catches. Maybe he scores. That'd be awesome. But yeah, just not expecting a ton. But you really don't need a ton when you can go up and pay at other positions. Other than that, I think we covered everything. We covered the Mark Ingram situation, Tony Jones. We covered the Johnson at tight end as well. Yeah, that's about it for the Saints for me. Anything stick out to you on the Saints?
No, I'm not interested at all in their wide receivers. I have no idea who Tre'Davious White is going to be covering in this one, and I don't really want to guess. So, yeah, I'm not playing any wide receivers on the Saints in this one, and Johnson is the one guy on New Orleans that I'd be most interested in.
Yep, I agree there. But moving on to the Buffalo side, we talked about it a little bit. Josh Allen is going to be the quarterback I go to. Yeah, the Saints have a very, very good run defense, one of the best, if not the best, run defense in the NFL. I think the Bills are going to be doing some passing here and a lot of it. I like Josh Allen here at the price tag of 7,800. He's going to be the quarterback I go to this week. You mentioned you like Josh Allen as well. And then I'm going to be pairing him up with Diggs, 7,900. Diggs, he's been doing pretty good as of late. He's been consistent throughout the year. So I really do like the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs pairing him up this week. Gonna have a lot of them. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. And I know I'm going to get questions about Diggs before this game about Marshawn Lattimore, who has been unreal lately. I don't know if you've been kind of following him as far as his coverage grades and everything. It's been like record breaking lately. But Diggs is not the kind of guy that he can cover. Like Diggs is known for his route running, and there's no cornerback in the NFL that can stop him. So yeah, I'm not at all worried about Diggs' potential in this game. And you're right, I was wrong when I said I was just looked at this now. I was wrong when I said the Bills have given up the fewest now. It's after the Taylor thing, it is now the Saints. The Bills are the second best. So there's no reason to play any of these running backs in this game for the Bills. Especially now, it looks like a three-guy committee. I mean, Singletary and Moss was muddy enough. Now you add Breida into the mix. Um, Plus Josh Allen runs himself. So I'm not interested in any of these running backs. But yeah, I'm with you for sure on the Allen Diggs connection. How about the other receivers? Are you into any of those? You got Beasley at a kind of a cheap 4,500. Manuel Sanders against his own old team last year. Are you interested in either of these guys?
Yeah, I think if anything, it probably would be Beasley. I mean, the thing about Beasley though is every time I play this guy, he screws me over. I mean, when I don't play him, he goes out there and gets 24 points against Miami, 21 against Tennessee. But when I do play him, he's getting like a 3-point game against the Jets. So, yeah, I think Beasley for me, if anything. But I really want to make it a priority to get Diggs in there. And then there are some other guys I do like more than Beasley around his price range.
Yeah, the same. I mean, we talked about the Dallas guys and some of those Bears receivers that are either a tiny bit cheaper, a tiny bit more expensive. Um, the Dawson Knox is interesting to me just because I'm never on this guy because he seems like he's just so touchdown or nothing. Um, but he kind of weirdly had this 10 target game last week. So I mean, what do you think about him? I mean, that was a weird, 6 catches for 80 yards on 10 targets against the Colts. But the Saints are like, death to tight ends also. So I don't know. Where are you on Knox? 4,400?
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's low owned. He's coming in about 10%, sixth highest owned tight end. Yeah, like you mentioned, the matchup's pretty bad, but I mean, I don't mind, stacking him up with Josh Allen, maybe a Josh Allen, a Diggs, and a Knox stack. But I guess there are tight ends that I like a little bit more. I think the matchup is what concerns me the most there, and Knox is pretty inconsistent. So yeah, that's another scary thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind, if you want to full stack the Bills, kind of throwing in bits and pieces of those other wide receivers. But I think the Allen Diggs connection I'm with you. That's where I want to go with this.
Yep, sounds good to me. We see that Diggs is coming in at the second highest projected owned wide receiver, 45%. Cole Beasley, 16%, the seventh highest owned projected wide receiver. The eighth is Emmanuel Sanders at about 16% as well. So, yeah, anything else that sticks out to you in this game?
Um, no, not really, but I will ask you where are you going at defense, do you think, in this one if you had to kind of pick one? I've been all over the place, honestly. I'm curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, this is tough. I think I've just been like punting down with like Lions or Raiders. I don't like it, but I probably would go with the Lions if I had to pick. They're cheap, 2,400. It allows you to do other things in your lineup. If I was paying up, I'd probably go Bears 3K. Don't hate Bills 3.1. So I guess those Bills. If I was paying up Bills 3,100, Bears 3,000, and then if I'm paying down Lions, how about you?
Yeah, it's been those three for me as well. I I think I'm kind of leaning the Bills way now. I mean, I don't want to say that, Goff coming back is what takes me off of the Bears defense because you shouldn't really fear Jared Goff, but the Bears are missing personnel on defense, which I guess could mean that the Lions offense could actually do a little more than I thought they would with Tim Boyle. Like, Akeem Hicks is out, Khalil Mack is out, another big player who I'm blanking on is also out for them. So I think I'm probably down to the Bills or the Lions at this point, depending on how much salary I have or what I need to do with it.
Yeah, it looks like the Bears are coming in at the projected number one highest owned defense, 36%. The Lions number two, 22%. The Bills number three at 19%. The Cowboys number four, 13%. The Saints number five, 5%, and then the Raiders number six at 2.5%.
Yeah, I don't tend to worry about ownership too much as far as the cash defense goes, but yeah, I'm probably between the two of them at this point.
Yep, sounds good. So yeah, those are the three games. It'd be cool to go position by position to kind of give your favorite player for each position. We'll both do that. So at quarterback, if you had to pick one quarterback on the entire slate, I think I know which way you're going to go, but which guy would it be?
I think Josh Allen makes the most sense to me at quarterback. Same with you.
Yep, Josh Allen as well. This could get interesting. If you had to pick one running back on the entire slate, which would it be?
I mean, I'm going from a cash player's mind here, so I'm taking David Montgomery on this one. I think he actually has the way to even be the number one running back on this slate. So he's my pick.
Yep, I like that one as well. But to be a little bit different, I'll go with Zeke Elliott 8,000. Love the matchup for him there. Wide receiver, if you had to pick one, which would it be?
This is interesting. Now, I'm going to pretend that. Well, I'm going to say Gallup. I'm going to go with the ownership here and just the potential that he has. He's good even with Cooper is out, or he's good with even if Lamb is in. Amazing if Lamb is out. So he's that kind of play that I don't see any downside from.
Sounds good. Yep, I agree with that one. But to be a little bit different, I'm going to go with Mooney, 5,700. Had about 10 or had 16 targets last week. A great matchup here against Detroit. And of course, no Robinson helps a lot. So I do like those two as well. Tight end, who you liking here?
Just one point thing on what you just said too. I would imagine when my lineups are finished, they'll both be in the main lineup,
Mhm.
Mooney, and Gallup. So I'm with you on that call too. For tight end, I want to go with Waller. I want to say the nice cheap Saints tight end is my favorite one to pick there. But I'm going to pay for Waller whenever I possibly can. This is an eruption spot for him.
Totally agree. I'm gonna go with Jawan Johnson, 2,600. Save some money and get the guys I want in my lineup. But yeah, I do like Waller as well. And then finally for defense, I'll probably just say I'm gonna punt down at Lions, probably 2,400. I think they're solid.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one too. I think just based on the way my builds are working, I'm gonna need that 700 off of the Bills too, and I don't blow up my skill players to get up to a defense.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, we did it. Three games. Any other final thoughts or anything you want to mention before you head out of here?
Nope, I don't think so. Hopefully we get the CD Lamb news nice and early because that definitely changes things on this one. But everybody enjoy the games and Jason, you have restful and fun Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep, sounds good. We'll be back on Sunday. Good luck, Jamie. Good luck, everybody else. Let's make some money.